Hey, bud.
Now, why did you do that photo in color?
Because you told me that there's only two reasons you would ever shoot a color photograph: rainbows and paint chips.
I'm surprised I said rainbows. I've shot rainbows in black and white. I'll bet you have too.
I have actually, yeah.
That's
But
quite a rainbow, though. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen one more pronounced and a double.
it was insane. So Palouse again. And this was a fun moment because I normally, the way I run a normal photo tour is we meet on Monday at 5 o'clock, we have dinner together, we do a presentation. Well, my buddy Rod Barbie, who's a longtime friend also, and he's been doing workshops in the Palouse longer than I have. Well, he had already booked the conference room, butthead. And so I didn't have a conference room. So I said to the group, I said, it's a stormy night. It's raining, but it's looking like we might have opportunities tonight. So I'm going to do something I've never done. We're going to go out, and then tomorrow midday we'll do our, hello, show each other's images and everything. And we had this, well, the last show, we had that big, great sky. That was from this moment. And then I said to the folks, I said, folks, we haven't had any light, no sun. I said, trust me, I'm thinking we're going to get some. And sure enough, we got a blast of about 15 minutes and this double rainbow came out. It was the most brilliant rainbow I've ever seen. It was so much fun. And I couldn't wait to put it in a show so that you could make fun of it.
Uh,
All right. All right. So this is our last show of this session. I know you think we do these, but we do change our shirts after 9 shows. So, hey, you know what? We don't usually talk about gear a whole lot because we just not our thing. But let's pivot for this show today. We've each finally just recently bought new cameras. So when and why do you buy a new camera or any gear for that matter? We're not big gearheads.
gonna make me sick if this gets the most likes or whatever.
Oh my God.
We're talking about gear.
So,
I bought a new camera. I bought my mirrorless camera, which for me, I was so anti-mirrorless because an early model, I looked through it and it was all pixelated with the
yes,
electronic viewfinder. And I said, no, I'll never do it. Well, I did it because it changed long exposure photography from me. It went from a rather technical, difficult thing to a super, super easy thing. It just changed my world for long exposures. So I did it for that reason.
interesting. So one major thing making because you love long exposures, yeah. And I just find I mean, I was 3 generations old. I have never had the newest camera. My generation, so I was on an XT3 Fuji, and there's now an XT5, and then there's an XH2, and I finally made the decision to go to an XH2 because I finally realized that having 40 megapixels versus 24, there would be some value and benefit in that. But just like you, what's really cool about long exposures now on the Fuji is before I had to go to bulb after 30 seconds. I don't even have to do that on my Fuji anymore. It'll meter through a 10 stop, through a 15 stop, up to 8 minutes.
That's cool. That would
It's
be a step better than what I've got. Yeah.
it's so I blew my mind. I have to be in manual mode. I just stumbled upon it serendipitously.
So
On
you didn't buy a new camera for that reason, but for the megapixels.
Well, the main reason I bought the new camera, very honestly, is my XT3 had a problem. I sent it in to be repaired, and they said it's going to cost $800. And I said, I'm not spending $800 on an old camera. I'll go ahead and bite the bullet. But the end result was learning I mean, long exposure is a no brainer. The only thing I notice is if I have like 15 stops on, even though it can meter, it's wrong. It's
Uh,
going to be underexposed. So I have to add some time. But what it blows my mind through a 10 stop, I can actually see like it's daytime
well,
right
I know
through
why
the
it's
viewfinder.
underexposed. It's the same problem with mirrored cameras. When you get that long, the amount of light it takes to skew the meter reading is so slight that any light leak. I mean, the
Yeah.
most minuscule light leak tricks it and they come out underexposed. That was my big problem with mirrored cameras.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then you had that thing that you put over it. But yeah, so in general, I think, you and I are both not gearheads, even though we love technical stuff. I mean, we both come from having been in that frame of mind. The only reason I buy a new camera is number one, because I had to, or in
Yeah.
your case, I love your reason because it gave you a feature that was going to help you. I see no reason to run out and buy. I have no interest in the next XH3. I don't even. I'm not even looking at reviews. I don't even know if there's one in the plans. I have no clue. Not important to me. I've got a great camera. I fully expect, unless this thing breaks, to be using this camera for 5, 8, I don't know, 10 years. Unless a new feature comes along that just moves me to say, yeah, I really need that. And you know what they're going to come up with that you'll probably want is AI that'll automatically compose for you. I know you'll do that.
I have no doubt that AI will play a role. I'm not sure to any benefit, though,
No.
because it'll probably have pre-programmed rules into it. Like
Uh,
I remember the feature where the camera won't take the shot until everyone has their eyes opened. What if
well,
it starts programming? Yeah. So what if it starts programming the rule of thirds and it says, well, I won't take it until, oh, there, and then it'll take the shot, or any other rule that is deemed critical to a great shot. That'll
uh,
be a shame. That'll be a
that would be
shame.
awful.
The megapixel thing, I don't, how far do we keep going? Right now, most of us show our images on a phone on Instagram. Do we really need 100 megapixels? Unless you're like Josh, our friend Josh, who's doing some big work, I'm not sure megapixels is a good reason to buy a new camera.
Well, even that though, my argument would be, and that's why I had 24 megapixels forever and didn't think I really needed more. But I went ahead and did that because with gigapixel AI from Topaz, well, for instance, I just sold a print to a gal. It was taken with an older digital camera, so it probably would have been a 18 megapixel Fuji, and she wanted it basically 60 by 30. And it's glorious. It's absolutely glorious. And we use gigapixel AI from Topaz to enlarge it, sent it to the same I'm not gallery, same people that do Josh's prints, and Josh's are much bigger than that. His are feet big. Um, and so you have the technology to take 26 megapixels. Now, I will say that now that I do have a 40 megapixel versus 26, the
Yeah.
resolution is better. There's no question. As long as you have a lens that will resolve to that, right? So some of my older lenses, it's as if it's a 30 megapixel camera because it can't resolve to the 40, or it's like an old 26 megapixel. But the lenses I do have that will resolve to that, there is a difference.
But,
You know,
I've got quite a few images that were shot with my original 8 megapixel SLR.
yeah,
And I blow those up quite large. And it goes to now, if somebody gets down there and gets real close, which
yeah,
we all do, we get this far away and say, well, that's not as sharp as it could be. And the question isn't, is it as sharp as it could be? Is the image effective?
yeah. I-
Did would adding sharpness add anything to the image? Would it make it better?
yeah,
And are you generally not?
yeah, it's not. And here's Nancy Rotenberg, my early mentor. I loved it when she got one of the early Nikon D100s or something, right? 8 megapixel. And so we were at a workshop with her as the leader, and somebody, asked her eagerly, "Oh, I love that picture. Was that with your new digital camera or was that film?" And her answer was, "Do you like it?" And he went, "Love it." And that was it. She refused to answer what it was because that's your point, right? It's irrelevant. Do you like it?
I recently spoke at a club, and afterwards, they know I don't like to answer technical questions. So the person apologized and said, had a technical question. They go, "What do you shoot with?" And I said, "A camera." And everybody laughed, and that was the end of it. I'm going to grab something real quick.
Oh, okay. Well, wow. Now we get to actually see your photograph and what it looks like, and it's, not that good.
I've got a huge collection of cameras that I owned as a kid.
Uh,
Uh, and what amazes me is that these things would have been handed down from for two or three generations.
Absolutely.
They were solid. They didn't really break. Every once in a while, the oil got a little thick in the shutter and you had to go get it cleaned. But today, you said I don't anticipate buying another camera for 5 years. Probably it won't last more than 5 years.
That's right.
And that's a shame.
That's my dad's first camera, and
Little
now
folder.
and
Yeah.
I don't even know what the heck it is, but it folds out with a little bellows. I mean, I cherish this little thing. But you're right. I mean, my first cameras were cameras that had been around for 10 years,
And
and
look at the
nothing
work
because we were shooting film, it didn't matter.
and look at the work the great masters did on equipment that you could argue was far inferior
Yep.
in terms of resolution and certainly in terms of features.
Ah, yeah.
And yet it created incredible, incredible images.
Yeah.
And it goes kind of back to how does it make you feel and what emotions does it stir and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so what I mean, we're talking about gear, but I think the message, if you haven't gotten it, is don't go running out and buy gear just because it's the latest, greatest camera. Save your money and go on a trip, travel somewhere, go to a park you've never been to, whatever.
Go on a photo tour with John Barclay.
That's a shameless plug. That was really bad.
But I didn't plug me, I plugged you. So it's
Yeah,
not
but I agree with Cole 100%. Go on a photo tour with me, and hey, and if Cole happens to be there, we'll have fun. Cole, it's always good to chat. We'll see you here soon in the Faroe Islands. Although when people are seeing this, we might be home from the Faroe Islands. So
okay.
it was good to see you in the Faroe Islands, maybe.
Yeah.
Take care, bud.
Wasn't that a great trip, John?
It was a great trip.
Great trip.